Hey friends, welcome back. We are all out of canned beans in the pantry, believe it or not. So I need to can some more of our dry beans. And some people might say, well, why don't you just stay with the dry beans because they'll last forever. But stick around and we'll tell you why. So, dry beans, whether they're from the garden or from the store, very good to have in your pantry because they'll last literally forever. But I like the convenience of some canned beans in the root cellar. For a really quick dinner or a quick pot of refried beans or something like that, you can't beat it. Or a quick pot of chili beans, your beans are already cooked, you just got to add the ingredients. So we're going to cook them in a very controversial way, and we've done it before on this channel, but in case you haven't seen it, we're doing this. We're using our automatic pressure cooker. Nowadays they call them Instapots. This pressure cooker came around before the Instapot did. It's called the Bistro. It was put out by Wolfgang Puck years ago, and I bought it because it's one of those set it and forget it things. And if you've ever pressure canned before, you know you got to sit there and babysit the canner, make sure it stays at the right pressure and all that. Well, this pressure cooker here stays at a constant 15 psi all on its own. All you got to do is set the time. So it's super convenient for canning. But there's going to be those canning Karens out there that tell you that you can't use this for that. Well, I beg to differ. There's a lady on the internet, Rose Red. She actually did a scientific experiment to show that as long as you're at 15 psi and you go for the recommended amount of time, you can use an automatic pressure cooker. I believe she was using the modern day version of the Instapot. But it can be done. Don't let people tell you you can't. Look up the specifications on your automatic pressure cooker or your Instapot, and it should tell you what psi it comes to. Because what you need is 15 psi, and this automatically adjusts for altitude and everything, so I don't have to worry about that. So this process could not be easier, and let me show you how it's done. It's super easy. So I have my pint jars. I use the wide mouth because they're a little bit shorter and they fit in my pressure cooker. So to your wide mouth jar, you put a half a cup of dry beans. And then you go to the sink and you fill your jar up to this line here with cold water. You don't have to go crazy sterilizing your jars and your lids and all that, because this is going to cook under pressure for 90 minutes. So it's going to kill anything, any little problems that you'll have on these jars. Of course, if they're brand new jars, you want to rinse them, clean all the manufacturer gunk off of them. But let me get the water in this and these other 3 jars, and we'll get this thing started. All right, we've got our jars full. We got our lids on. You can see I got a little metal trivet down on the bottom to keep the jars from sitting right on the bottom, because if they sit right on the bottom, they'll rattle a little bit. Now, I got duped, and I don't want you to get duped, so I'm going to tell you. I came across an ad for these canning lids on the internet, on YouTube, or Facebook, and they had a really cool looking ad, red, white, and blue, and the name Denali. I thought it was a new company that put together to try to take care of the canning lid shortage here in America. Well, I got them ordered, and then I found out these are made in China. So I got duped with the name and all that. I don't like buying things made in China, but unfortunately I got had. So we're gonna give these a shot, see if they work, but I'm never buying Denali again. So I need to put some water in here. I'm going to fill it about halfway up the jars. This is going to process for 90 minutes, so you want to make sure you got enough water in your pressure cooker to last for 90 minutes without boiling dry. You can go, 3/4 full if you want, but these automatic pressure cookers have a little line over here that say the max liquid for pressure cooking, so make sure you don't get above that line. Alright, we've got our lid on, we got everything set to the proper setting, and then we got it on 90 minutes, which is an hour 30. So this thing will not start counting down until the unit comes up to pressure. But the best thing is we don't have to stand here. We can go do other stuff. Okay, first batch is done. I got the next batch ready to go in. Now when you fill these with water, make sure you're using a good water. If you've got like city water, don't use that chlorinated city water. Use some filtered water or bottled water or something like that. But we got really good well water here, so it doesn't matter. So we're going to let this pot cool down on its own. I'm not going to release any pressure out of it. It needs to come down on its own, otherwise the jars will actually burp out some of their liquid, and you'll get short liquid in your jars if you bleed that pressure off too quick. So I'll bring you back when we pull those jars out. Oh, I did not mention this automatic pressure cooker has a stay warm function that it goes into once it reaches temperature or the time is elapsed. So I just unplug it from the wall so the heat actually goes completely off and it'll cool down. Our first batch is out. All the pressure came out of the pressure cooker. You can see that the beans are still boiling on the inside of the jars, and the beans have filled up, swelled up to their full size. And we've got our new cans or new jars going in. We have our next batch ready. We're doing 12 jars. Remember, that's a half a cup of dry beans, and then we fill up to the shoulder line on the jar. We're doing 12 jars because everything comes in a dozen. So your jars come in a dozen, your lids come in a dozen. So just a lot more convenient that way. So we're going to continue on and get the rest of these done, and we'll have 12 jars of beans when we're done. So I hope if you're interested in canning that you take this up. This is probably the simplest recipe you can can. Absolutely dirt simple. And with the automatic pressure cooker, it's even easier. So if you're afraid of the big pressure cookers and they intimidate you, this is a way you can still can. Now the newest Instapot is actually supported by the canning industry as being able to can. You can do quart jars in that. I think you could do 4 quarts at a time. And I will definitely be looking into that because you could do quarts and pints in that one. Whereas mine, like, it's just small, I can only do pints. So again, don't listen to them canning Karens out there that say you can't do this, because you can. So until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, guys. We love you. Catch you later.